What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. I'm flying solo today. Pete's got some family obligations he has to get to. He'll be joining us later for the Group Chat Sports live show, Group Chat Football. We're talking about all the comings and goings in the portal and recruiting nationally. But timing-wise, he was able to make this show. But I wanted to make sure we showed up because we're Cal Ripken on this one. We've been going daily for, almost 9 months now, more than 9 months now. So we plan to keep it going. Appreciate everybody joining us here on this Friday morning. It's kind of a weird Friday. Everybody's been regrouping from New Year's. So again, thanks for joining us here and excited to talk to you guys. Get your questions in the chat box. Chat's already going crazy. So go ahead and throw your questions in there. First, I want to talk about my friends at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, look at that. Appreciate everybody in the chat here. A lot to talk about. Get your questions in. We had the Under Armour game yesterday. It's kind of hard to believe, right, with all the stuff going on in the portal, that there's still high school all-star games being played. This used to be such a big event. I thought it was a cool game. You had juniors and seniors competing, including multiple Miami commits and targets. So we'll talk about that. Also got official visits rolling. The Branch brothers just finished their official visit to Miami. That's Zachariah Branch, one of the top-rated wide receivers in the transfer portal. His brother Zion, another big recruit, certainly out of high school, a guy who's had experience at safety. Two positions where Miami is looking to add players. These are USC transfers. Bishop Gorman alums. Miami's had a lot of success at Bishop Gorman between Elijah Lofton, Brevin Jordan, S Alofaituli, who we'll talk about here in a second. So these are some very, very highly sought-after players. And, Miami made a good impression on them. I think Miami makes a lot of sense for both guys. Based on what I've heard, Miami's always been a team that's been in there. This visit, actually, I can report, has been set up for a while. I first heard about the potential for this visit on the 27th, day before the bowl. So this is not a surprise. This is something that's been happening. And when you look at the opportunity, if you're Zachariah Branch, who is a dynamic returner, as a freshman, he was the best returner in the country, first-team All-America. Last year took a step back as a returner, actually had worse returning stats than Ray Joseph, who was not up to par. So you want to get back to that dynamic freshman year. Played more as a receiver last year, had some good moments, but there's still some meat on the bone there. This is a 5-star player, one of the best track athletes in the country. A lot of Tyreek Hill comparisons coming out of high school to give you an idea, Zachariah Branch. But, the appeal here with the Miami Hurricanes, I'm pulling up the transfer portal rankings just for some perspective. He is the number 2 wide receiver overall in the portal behind Eric Singleton, a 95 overall transfer. So that's a big, big number. He'd be the highest rated transfer in Miami's class, which as it stands right now actually has the highest average portal ranking. So a lot of quality in this recruiting class for the Miami Hurricanes out the portal, but they're not done. And one big chip on the board here is Zachariah Branch. And I'll just pull up a tweet here that Zachariah had. Give me 1 second. I'm producing myself, so if I screw up, bear with me. Here we go. So this is their classic cryptic tweet from Zachariah Branch on right when his visit finished at 11:15. This is late last night. So, I'll let the Twitter detectives figure out what that means, but that to me is your classic, I'm interested in this school. Now, why would he be interested? Again, I mentioned the Gorman connection. He wants to play with his brother. Some of these schools aren't the best opportunities for his brother. On the Hurricane side, they have a major need at safety. His brother was a blue chip recruit, track athlete as well. He's played at USC, but he's had injuries. So he's not like a total bench warmer at all. He's contributed, but he's been more of a role player and he's been injured. A team like Georgia, who's after Zachariah Branch, probably not going to play him much. Arizona State, which is another team that's after them, maybe he has more of an opportunity there. But Miami has a deep need at safety. You added another Zachariah Poyser at safety, who's a number 2 safety in the portal, so he's going to slide right in. And you're fortifying the DBs in general. You got Zaquan Patterson, Dylan Day, some young guys at that position. But you lose Jaden Harris, who, again, had a pretty rough year. Mish Powell goes in the portal. A lot of opportunity at safety. So good opportunity for his brother. then I mentioned the Gorman connection. So there's a lot of ties between his old teammates at Gorman, Elijah Lofton, S.J. Alofaituli, and this school. S.J. Alofaituli was recruiting Zachariah Branch and his brother Zion Branch on Twitter. Then you look at the scheme. Shannon Dawson, before he came to Miami, was at Houston with Tank Dell. Tank Dell was the top receiver in the country statistically, goes on to the NFL as a slot receiver. This year, Xavier Estrepo, over 1,100 yards, 16-plus yards per catch, which is insane for a slot receiver, and all the first-team All-America. So you have two guys that were at the top of the slot position, not just for volume of targets, but the depth of targets. These guys were big play slot receivers in Shannon Dawson's offense. So if you're Zachariah Branch, you run a 10, 300 meters, you're a slot receiver, you look at this and say, he can bring out the best in me as a receiver, particularly the downfield elements of my game. At the same time, you do hope that he gets his punt returning back to par, because when he was on as a freshman, he averaged 20 yards per punt return, number one in the country, and was first-team All-America. So a lot of upside with Zachariah Branch. He's a 95 portal ranking for a reason, although last year, he wasn't as explosive as maybe he was as a freshman. So there's still some projection to this player, but the upside is huge, and he's made plays at the college level. So that's a situation to monitor. I think Miami's in pretty good shape. Obviously, you got to get this quarterback situation straightened out, which we'll talk about. Question here on the Wisconsin DB that they're holding hostage. This is Xavier Lucas from Queen City G. I think everyone involved is still optimistic this thing will get resolved, but it's a process right now. So we'll see where this thing goes. But I still think that that we'll get him in there. The other visitor on campus, James Brockermeyer, center for Texas Christian. I think Miami is a very good shot there. He's a starting center, Alabama transfer. Miami has a need in the interior line. Ryan Rodriguez can also play guard and be a swingman for depth purposes. S.J. Alofaituli can also play guard and center, although I think center is where he's going to find his home. Adam there. His dad is very former player, former stud for Texas, played in the NFL, very involved. He obviously likes what Mirabal is doing on the offensive line. Why wouldn't he? So I think that makes this a natural fit for James Brockermeyer, who's on campus now, the Texas Christian center. Also arriving on campus was Michael Bowman, tight end from Tulane. This is a dual threat tight end. He can catch and he can block, has 13 career touchdowns, I believe, 7 touchdowns last year. So he's been able to find his way in the red zone. He's not going to be an Elijah Arroyo, but he is the number 2 ranked transfer tight end in the country and is someone who's with experience blocking. Tulane was a run-heavy team. So I think he's someone that could step into your Riley Williams role. I liked Riley Williams. I thought that was a loss, but, that would kind of fit that role more with Elijah Lofton and getting a superior pass-catching role and just overall touches to offset some of what you lose with Arroyo. So those are the names you're looking at right now. Noah Thomas, big wide receiver from Texas A&M, 6'6", was Texas A&M's top receiver. He is entering the portal. Miami's been named by multiple sources as a team to watch there. So they'll push. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Branch. There's only so many bullets when it comes to wide receiver. These are big-ticket items. But Miami's clearly after a big-time wide receiver of all shapes and sizes. Mike Orlowski's asking, where's Pete? Pete's dealing with a family commitment. He'll be on for Group Chat Football later on, which is our national college football show. Like and subscribe to that one if you haven't already, because that really helps us out when you guys do like and subscribe to that show. We appreciate helping that thing grow and appreciate everybody on here. If you don't follow this show, like and subscribe. We're on daily, even when we're not 100%. So we are on every single day. Listen, the quarterback situation has been asked repeatedly. Hassan Chiab asking, what about the USC quarterback? Is there any truth to that? I will be diplomatic and just report what USC itself is saying. They're saying that, there's some conversations between Maiava. This is Jaden Maiava, the starting quarterback for USC, and Miami. And USC thinks that they will keep the player. And, the portal closed. So 5 p.m. today, we should have a clear picture of whether he's entering the portal or not. If he enters the portal, I think he's someone that would intrigue Miami for what he's done. He's made a lot of big throws in big games. Put up 35 against Notre Dame, scored 5 total touchdowns, had a comeback win against Texas A&M in the bowl. Of course, both of those performances had some costly turnovers as well. So the story with him is, do you believe if you gave him a better running game and offensive line could he cut down on some of the turnovers and augment some of the good stuff he does? So that's the question with Jaden Mayava, who, as of now, is not in the portal. We just got a lot of text here, so I don't mean to be rude by checking text. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing any news that I can report on the show. All right. Let's see here. Anthony Mazzano, if you had to choose between Jaden and the South Dakota quarterback, who do you choose? I had to do more homework on that. I like the South Dakota State quarterback because of the experience level. Mayava's also started a lot of games, not as many as Gronowski, but I'd say probably upside-wise, Mayava, safety-wise, Gronowski, but he's FCS going to D1, so that there's to Power 5, so there's a question there. Let's see. Any surprise names at quarterback that could enter if you had to guess? I mean, those are the names I'm monitoring right now. Would be interested in the Washington QB that just entered the portal. So that would be news to me. Let me check him out. See if it's a name I'm familiar with. But let's see here. So looking at this happen, I'm not seeing any Washington. Oh, Washington cornerback, Jordan Shaw. Okay. So at cornerback, the guys that we're looking at are obviously, if Xavier Lucas jumps in the portal, he'll be the top-rated corner in the portal day one. He would be someone that Miami would be very interested in, and I think would have a great shot to get. Obviously, he's a hometown kid from American heritage. And like I said, I think the second he jumps in the portal successfully, he's trying to jump in now. Wisconsin's trying to block him. The second he jumps in the portal, I believe he would be the highest-rated player in the portal. Certainly highest-rated corner in the portal. Ethan O'Connor from Washington State. 4 interceptions last year as a redshirt freshman. He's someone that Miami brought in for a visit, and Miami is pushing very, very hard to try to acquire. They are battling Georgia for Ethan O'Connor. So those are the cornerback names that keep an eye on. Safety, you added Zachariah Poyser. You have a lot of these guys we're talking about can play safety as well. You have Dylan Day and Zaquan Patterson, and if you get Zachariah Branch, who is Zachariah Branch's brother, who's on the campus, then he would be another safety for depth. Lottie Garcia's, how's our big CB who got injured? I think you're talking about Damari Brown. He should be fine for the season. He's another one that, this is my opinion. I don't know if he's down with it, but I think he could probably be a safety too. Probably should be a safety. Very physical player, over 200 pounds. Some people believe that Xavier Lucas could be a safety as well, but he runs a 10.5, so he has the speed to play corner. Oh, he said Vladdy's asking the other kid. Jadis Richard tore his ACL, so he's out for a while. I don't think you can include Jadis Richard in the plans. So while you get your questions in, let me switch gears here and talk about the Under Armour game, because that was a very interesting game. Saw a lot of Kane targets, Kane commits. S.J. Alofaituli, top of the list. This is a center from Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman, #1 center in the country by some publications, signed with Miami. He'll be here in spring. Watching him in the game, he played left guard and center, started the game, was matched up a lot against Elijah Griffin, #3 overall player in the country, 5-star defensive tackle going to Georgia, the elite of the elite at that position at the high school level. And Alofaituli, I thought, handled him pretty well. I mean, Griffin didn't really do anything on Alofaituli. And Alofaituli opened up a touchdown run right over Griffin. Griffin's a stud and got a sack later in the game against someone else. But Alofaituli, because of his leverage, he's not the biggest guy in the world at center. Certainly at guard, he's very undersized. Center, he's like, average size, maybe a little under. But he's very, very strong. Great balance, elite base, flexible technique. And he's like a fire hydrant, man. He's hard to move. So he was stoning people in pass protection. And then the run game, he's not like a giant center that's just blowing people off the ball. But because his base is so good and his technique so good, he's able to steer him out of the gap, which he did numerous times, including on a touchdown right over Elijah Griffin. And then later on a long run by an Ohio State commit running back from where he just plowed open the hole and the guy ran for about 80 yards. Let's try to get his name here, the running back. But anyways, that was the 80-yard run right over his side, CJ Alofaituli. So he looks like a guy that, to me, could start day one at University of Miami. He'll be here in spring. He'll be competing there. Obviously, if you bring in James Brockermeyer, that's a veteran center. You still have Ryan Rodriguez. But when I watch CJ Alofaituli, I have trouble seeing him not being on the field, right? Now, look, he's going to have to earn it, but that's the way he looked when you watch that game. So very impressed with him. Another Miami commit in the game, Jordan Campbell. This is the first year he had juniors and seniors playing together in the Under Armour game. So with Jordan Campbell, you had him playing. This is a Carroll City commit at linebacker, top 100 player for the class of 26. He was playing weak side, made some really nice plays, including on the goal line. He was flying, had 2 sideline to sideline tackles that prevented the other team from scoring. 6'2", little skinny, but not overly skinny. He'll have nice size once he fills out. Long arms, like I said, great speed. Had great highlights this year, and then performed well at linebacker in the game. He's not a projection linebacker where you're saying moving, like a DN to linebacker or some other position to linebacker. There's a true linebacker and somebody who is very, very talented. And I think by next year, with a year of development, we'll be ready to play and help us. Another must get from the city of Miami-Dade in class of 26. This is Javari Flowers from Northwestern. He is not committed, but he's being recruited hard. He's also looking at Syracuse. He's tight with Calvin Russell, who didn't play in this game, but is a 5-star wide receiver from Northwestern. Flowers is a must get, man. This is like a 10-4 speed guy, really good cover corner and returner. Had a great interception in this game. KJ Lacey was a Texas commit through a screen, and Flowers broke on the ball like a rocket. Again, this 10-4 speed, click and close. I don't think he expected him to get there that fast. Knocked the ball up and then made a juggling catch to intercept. It could have been a pick 6 potentially. Just a really, really incredible play by Flowers. And I heard all week, based on the reports, he's been excellent. So he'll be a top 100 player easily in the 2026 class. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up pushing for 5-star status. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's not small, and that speed is truly unique and special with that 10-4 and looking that way on the field. Derek Cooper, another 5-star running back from the class of 2026 from Chaminade Madonna, same school as, JoJo Trader, Zaquan Patterson, Donta Simpson from this class, Chris Ewald from this class. A bit of Miami pipeline, aside from, of course, Jeremiah Smith, which is the one you didn't want to miss, but it is what it is. So this guy, I think we're looking better for. He's been to a lot of Miami games. He was throwing up the U with Jordan Campbell at the practices. He is a 5-star running back, but really more of an athlete. He's starting running back in this game in the backfield. Made a nice catch down the sideline, beating Tyler Lockhart down the field. But I think this guy's really a defensive player. He played sparingly on defense as a junior and looked really, really good. Kind of like your safety linebacker hybrid. He's about 200 pounds with room to add some more, but super fast, great instincts. And I think linebacker is his best position. He could be like Kenny McIntosh, another Broward kid who went to Georgia, played running back, and then is in the NFL getting carries for the Seahawks. But I thought could have been a first-round linebacker if he went to that side of the ball. So Cooper's a guy who could have success at both spots, but I think a linebacker is his highest upside. You had a lot of 26. 26 is a really good year for offensive tackle. Miami's in on a lot of them, and they're playing in this game. And I think that's the one position where the 26 guys really struggled, probably because you're talking about physical development at that position. And, these are guys that are kids, right? They're 16, 17 years old. They're going against players that are a whole year older at a man's position there on the offensive line. So I thought that the 2026 tackles struggled as a group. Of the 3, I thought the best one was Kenye Pepe, a 5-star from IMG. The Miami is really pushing hard for. He has a relationship with Francis Mauanoa, also a Polynesian tackle from IMG. So there's that link. Miami's been recruiting this guy for 5 years. I think since 8th grade. He's got the height. He's a little skinnier than Francis up top, has room to grow up top, but a big lower body. He'll be big, athletic, well-schooled. He got cooked by his teammate, Jake Cruel, who is also someone with Miami interest, a defensive end from IMG in that class of 26. And he was beating Pepe pretty bad, but Pepe did better against the other guys. And he started at left tackle with Michael Fasusi, who is a 5-star stud from Oklahoma in this class, playing right tackle. So I thought that was interesting that a guy like Fasusi, who's a complete stud, day one player for Oklahoma, actually played right with this guy playing left. That was a good sign, I thought. But he did get, there's work to do with Pepe. He's not ready to play right now, but I think, he's a guy that's worthy of the high ranking and someone you're going to recruit hard. Jackson Cantwell from Missouri. This is a 5-star, highly rated guy. He's number 3, I think, overall on ESPN, and 5-star everywhere. His parents are both Olympic throwers, and this guy himself is an elite national thrower. great power in his hands, great size and length. He was really, really raw, though, at pass protection. He was the second team right tackle. Didn't play that much. Pepe played a lot more because he was a starter. Cantwell, when he was pass blocking, looked really out of sync. I think he just hasn't pass blocked a lot at the high school level because his team runs. So he struggled big time. But I think if they ran the ball more, you would have seen more of that aspect of his game. And he's young. He has time to develop. He's going to be a guy that Miami's going to want to recruit. But I did think Pepe was a little further ahead of him based on what I saw, and that's how the rotations were for the game. Another big-time offensive lineman next year that Miami's involved with, Micah Morris from Vero Beach. He got beat all day pretty much, although he did start. But he did have a nice play where he got beat for a sack, and then he went and stole the ball back. So he got beat for a sack. It was a forced fumble, and he went back and stole the ball back from someone else. So he's a guy with, he's going to go to Ohio State or Miami or some big time school. It's just a matter. I think these 26 tackles just have a lot of growing to do, which is to be expected. Some other guys that caught my attention: the Corian Moore from Dallas, Texas, committed to Oregon, #1 receiver in the country in this 25 class. I think he's going to be a day one stud, kind of like your Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, of the world. I'm not saying he's going to be Jeremiah Smith, but he's going to be that day one stud wide receiver. Kind of reminds me of Jamar Chase. Not quite as tall, but similar body type, big and strong, big lower body, and super explosive. That was the impression I got watching him and Jamar Chase. He returned a punt for a touchdown. He's unreal. The 5-star quarterback in this game, Keelan Russell, he's teammates with Corian Moore in Duncanville, Texas, and is committed to Alabama or signed with Alabama. I thought he was the most impressive quarterback, led 2 touchdown drives, hurt his ankle, but he would have led more. He's a major league stud, got a very flexible, athletic arm, and just very good decision maker. Skinny, he's not a big guy, but I like his demeanor and his instincts. KJ Lacey signed with Texas, kind of like a poor man's Bryce Young. Lacks tools, but very smart gamer. In the right situation, he can be good. In a bad situation, not quite as good. So those are some of my Under Armour thoughts. Let's so we got some questions here. Let me just get here. Oh, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Kane Idaho says, let me get this up. Kane Idaho says, just got done watching your Jordan Lyle interview. Great job, D. No limit to what that dude can accomplish. His attitude and confidence are infectious. Yeah, man. He was awesome. So let me pull this up here while I'm talking. But I do a show called Storm Sessions on YouTube, which is through the Miami Hurricanes official channel. It's it's on the Hurricane All Access if you subscribe there. If you want to subscribe on podcasts or Apple Music, it's called Storm Sessions. And it's just sit down interviews in the Miami studio with the best players on the Miami Hurricanes, right? So we've done Cam Ward, we've done a ton of players. I did Fletcher last week, and then this week was Jordan Lyle. I'll pull it up so you guys can see what it looks like. But Lyle was awesome, man. He just a really, really smart player, really smart kid, very driven to succeed. His confidence is outstanding, and he's just one of those guys that you think of. Hold on. So let me pull it up here. One thing I'll say too that from doing the interview is he is big in person. He's definitely an every down back. He's not like a scat bat by any means. This guy is an every down type of dude. So let me just pull this up so you can see what it looks like. Look at that nice studio. Me and Jordan Lyle. This guy's really, really. He's got to be over 200 pounds, and he's been working hard on his game since he was a kid. He said he wake up at 5 a.m. with his dad since he was like 10 years old to play football. So, pretty special guy. That mentality will take him a long way. Fletcher was just as impressive the week before. I think we got 2 really good backs with really good character. By the way, man, we got about 2,600 on here live. Like and subscribe to this show if you have not already. We appreciate you guys, and again, go ahead and please sign up. We're on every day. I'm checking my Twitter now, not because I'm being rude, just because I want to make sure I don't miss any news. Here's one that's interesting. Big time quarterback recruit who signed with Oregon last month, Jaron Kiwi Sagapolatuli. I pronounced that terribly. Just entered the transfer portal. That's interesting. So that's the latest news. I'll see if I'll dig in to see if Miami has interest there. While we're talking about Polynesian quarterbacks, and see what's going on. Oh, look who it is. What's up, Pete? How we doing?
You hear me?
Oh, I hear you. What's up?
Had to hop on here, man. I'm back, so we're good.
All right, man. Well, listen, good, because I got to the hard part here. So
I saw you. You know, trying to juggle the pulling stuff up, and I had it on my phone. I was just getting home now, and I figured I might hop in here and help you out.
My brother, I appreciate you. Why don't you here? Let's start. Pull up that Beacon Adjusters prospect of the week here.
There we go. Pulling up there you go. You got it there.
All right. So, Beacon Adjusters prospect of the week. I kind of already ran through, some of these guys that are playing at the Under Armour game. But I want to return to Jordan Campbell, because Jordan Campbell's a guy that we haven't talked about a lot because he committed early. Pete, we interviewed him when he was at the Under Armour camp.
Yeah, last spring, right?
Which he was awesome in that game. He ended up, that's why he committed to, PC to get his highlights up. Now
I'm pulling it up right now.
Let's produce this thing.
The ad is playing, man. The huddle ad's playing. So.
All right. Okay. So Campbell's a guy we saw live, super long. He played in Broward. I'm not sure exactly where, or he transferred to Carol City. I'm not sure where he played before, but this was his first year at Carol City as a junior, and he picked up right where he left off. And again, this is a top 100 ranked player, and I think that's going to only go up. He had a good week of practice. You see the length there. Look at the speed on this guy as he chases this back down from the great academic institution of Belen Jesuit Preparatory School, known for their speed. He chases him down.
He was at American High School, D.
Okay, so American. So he was in Dade before, but you look at it fly off the edge here. You see him flying off the edge here, but when you watch the Under Armour game, he was not like an edge player. This guy's a true linebacker, which I think I need to emphasize that, because we've had so many edge guys that have struggled to make the transition. This guy played true linebacker all week and was a standout in practice. Numerous practice reports pointed to him as making great plays against the run. You see the length and long arms. I've seen him in person. He's going to be a big linebacker when he puts on some weight. He's not a narrow, skinny framed kid, but the speed is just really, really special. I think in one play, they threw a pass in the flats. I forgot which running back it was yesterday, and he just flew and met him. He almost intercepted the pass and took it the other way, but knocked him loose and forced the incomplete. He is, again, a sideline to sideline player with speed, which is something that I think this Miami Hurricanes team is lacking right now. We just need like when we've had great athletes, we haven't had the instincts, and when we've had great instincts, we haven't had the athletes. This is a guy, again, who plays linebacker and has the speed. Here, look at him here, watching the quarterback. So he's instinctual, and then look at the speed, and then the open field tackle. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we did not have last year. And this guy's going to have a year to get stronger, and every school is going to be after him, right? This is a top 100 player, but he's from Carol City, and he was taking pictures with Derek Cooper this weekend with throwing up the U. So it's a guy who, at least as of now, seems to be recruiting for the U. He was taking also pictures with Jackson Cantwell, who I talked about earlier. So, this guy's recruiting for the U. I mean, I don't know what more he can do now to show that he's on board, but from a Miami Hurricane standpoint, it is absolutely imperative that we keep him. And it's imperative that if your property's been affected by Hurricane Helene or Hurricane Milton, Beacon Adjustors Group is the people to call. They're here to help. With years of experience handling storm-related damage, we work tirelessly to ensure you get the compensation you deserve. From assessment to settlement, our team of trusted experts will guide you every step of the way. Don't face the aftermath alone. Let Beacon Adjustors Group restore your peace of mind. Call us today, 954-466-4224, 954-466-4224.
D, it's funny that he went to American before, because last night I was going through old Al Golden classes last night for fun, with everyone talking about him and Notre Dame, and Larry Hope, the cornerback, was a name that I was looking at there, and he was an American high school guy.
Yeah, that cornerback class was a disaster. That was one thing about Golden.
Vernon Davis from Coral Reef.
Yeah, Nate Dortch.
Yeah, interesting class. A lot of them they offer from the camp circuit too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the quarterback got good right at the end when you got Artie Burns and then you got Mike Jackson. But that was way at the end. There was some bad cornerback recruiting. Tracy Howard was the one that you really happy to get, but he didn't have the tools. And I think that's one thing you see when you look at some of these guys that disappointed locally, Tracy Howard was a solid player, but certainly not a 5-star. Joe Yearby, not a 5-star, but solid player. It's just they lack tools. So one thing about these guys here in Dade, because there's about 5 or 6 top 100 players in Dade this year. Diabell is going to Texas to play quarterback for American Heritage. That's one. He's not going to be in the picture. But about Derek Cooper, big, fast, verified speed type of player. Calvin Russell, 6'5", big, extremely physically gifted basketball player / football player. Javari Flowers, 10 400 meters. Jordan Campbell can run like the wind. Brandon Bennett, I think he's also a 10 300 meter guy. So these are guys with verified athleticism and size in the top 100 from Dade County. So it's a must that you clean up here locally if you want to have another top 10 class after dropping out of the top 10 this past year. You want to get back. You got to get some of this local talent, and you got to keep it.
What's interesting too, not to go back on our last discussion we were just having, but you have a couple safeties still in the league from that team in Dion Bush and Rayshawn Jenkins. To me, that's pretty crazy. But both of them have those physical traits.
Yeah, we had a great run of DBs that went pro at that time period, right? You had Jenkins and Jamal Carter. Jamal Carter made the league as a linebacker. Jenkins still in the league. Then you had Artie Burns and Dion Bush right before that. You had those two guys. And you had D. Delaney, Corn Elder, Adrian Colbert. These are all guys that made the NFL and played a lot of games.
Colbert still is a guy who gets signed. I don't know if he's on an active roster right now, but he was at some point this year.
Mike Jackson is starting in the league for Carolina Panthers. So you really, and Sheldrick Redwine made the league as well, and Jaquan Johnson. So you had a run of some guys that were just top of the line. Man, I would say top of the line. Top of the line is Alabama first rounders, but they were closer to the top of the line than we've had in the past.
Man, we have almost 3,000 on here. People were really interested in the Branch brothers, huh? I missed the first part of the show, so I missed the update on them.
Yeah, I mean, the update is I think it's a match. He's tweeting the tweets, which you know how that thing goes. But I think it's a match. I think, and I'm hearing good things. I mean, look, I haven't heard the like, hey, we're gonna get this guy. I haven't heard that yet. But I think the momentum is good, and I think when you really break down the situation, the Tank Dell, the Xavier Restrepo usage, if you're Branch, those are pretty obvious examples of how you want to be used and the numbers that you want to put up statistically.
Well, and I mean, obviously everyone's speculating about the quarterback situation. He must feel good about whatever's going to happen at quarterback if he ends up coming here and signing, right? That hasn't happened yet. But what are his other options? Georgia, right? Georgia's in the mix.
Who they need a quarterback too, and
that's my point. I kind of hinted at it yesterday, but is Arizona State really in the mix? I know that was a rumor. I see that one being tough, but it's not a bad situation. Obviously, they'll feature them. They have a good quarterback in Levitt,
who's a good quarterback, but I mean, not exactly the most prolific passer in the world.
Right. He's a good quarterback, but he's a guy who can win games. We saw it this season, and obviously getting him in the offense. But I don't know if that's helping him take the step that he, in his mind. Not to say Miami has that answer right now, but that's what I'm getting at in terms of his other options here.
Yeah, and again, the production that Dawson's had as slot receiver is unique. I mean, it's unusual. It's not usual that a slot receiver like a Tank Dell is by far the leading rush receiver in the country, like he was. And then with Restrepo, go look and find. People in the chat, go ahead and look at this. Try to find receivers that had over 1,100 yards and they had 16 yards per catch.
Well, and I know how these guys think, having dealt with them. If you're a player, not in a disrespectful way, but Zachariah Branch is looking at it like, man, Restrepo's a really good player, but I feel like I am that guy who he's going to have the confidence to think he's better than him, right?
For sure.
The rankings coming out of high school are what they are, right? And Branch was that. And not to discredit anything that Restrepo's done, he's going to go on. He's going to get drafted now, and I think have a really solid NFL career. But if your Branch as the player, that's how you're looking at it.
100%. And the speed factor. I mean, that's a whole different category. I mean, Restrepo couldn't just run by everybody for bombs down the seam. He had over 16 yards per catch, so he was very much a big play wide receiver. But the pure speed is one thing that Branch adds to the mix that's different at 10-3, 100 meters, right? Jumping out the world with the triple jump and long jump. So I think that's all going to be a big selling point. But like our guy Wes Enzo is asking, who's our quarterback? And the interesting thing is, do you think the Branch brothers have insight on who the quarterback is? That's something to keep an eye on.
And then not just Zachariah, but Zion's situation, he for sure is looking at it like, I saw what happened last year in that secondary. I don't know who the DC is going to be yet, but I feel good about my chances looking at what's on the roster right now. We're excited about some young guys, but he's a veteran at this point. If he's healthy, he can be a guy who makes a difference.
Yeah, no question about that. And that's what another thing I like about the fit is there's a path for his brother, which he wants to play with his brother. The path for his brother is different here than at Georgia. I mean, Georgia's kid is going to have a tough time getting on the field. Miami, he saw how he looked last year. Plus, we lose both safeties. So that path to playing is a lot smoother for the brother, Zion.
Right.
Rafael Estrella is asking, what are the real chances of landing Ethan O'Connor? Very good. I mean, it's us in Georgia, and I believe we were the favorite, as of a couple of days ago. I don't know if anything's changed. These things change quick in the portal, but I know as of at least a couple of days ago, we were the favorite, and it's us in Georgia. Teams go in and out, so who knows? But
it's interesting because some of these guys, I don't know if it's your connection or mine. You're kind of a little bit delayed. It seems like, and you're blurry. I don't know if that's happening on your end as well, but. What I was going to say too is like some of these guys, we see them make quick decisions, right? Some of them a couple days after they enter the portal, they're signed somewhere. Other guys take their visits and then they decide. But then now we're seeing some of these other guys who have sort of, laid out their options, done their homework, and are now taking a little bit of time because it is tough to kind of just jump into a decision. Yeah, you may think, look, oh, well, I know a coach over here and I love what the offense is over here. And you may think you just go for it. And a lot of this stuff, these programs are asking for decisions kind of quick in certain instances. So I understand that aspect of it. But it is interesting to see some of these other guys who take their time, whether it's a negotiation tactic or just a decision-making thing. I'm sure there's a little bit of both to it. But everyone runs their process differently.
Yep. I'm still kind of choppy, right? So let me sign off. Let you handle it, Pete. I've been rolling this whole thing solo. So you go ahead and take you take my shot here. Hold on. I'll jump right in.
So Zach Lesnar's asking when we can expect a decision from Branch. I don't have any information on his decision-making timeline, but what I can say is that, enrollment for classes here, most of these guys are going to be on campus here in the next week or two, as workouts will start up for some programs, and guys are going to be starting classes. So if you haven't made it by now, you have about, a week, 10 days, I would say in most cases. Canes forever, man. Shout out Group Chat Sports. Appreciate you reminding me. So as we get D-Money back on here, and we got over 3,000 on with us, Group Chat Sports, follow our YouTube page here. Let me pull it up real quick. But again, guys,
how are we doing?
Back at it. There you go. Yeah, we're someone said shout out Group Chat, so I'm gonna pull the page up real quick and plug it. So this is our page where we talk national portal stuff, coaching movement, things of that nature. And look, a lot of it is, as Canes fans, I think you guys would be interested in, because a lot of ACC talk, a lot of Bill Belichick talk in there. That people love that. But here it is, Group Chat Sports, and you guys have helped us big time, man. We're at 821 subscribers, so let's get to 1,000, man. That'd be greater than the sky's the limit. So go check it out.
Yes, sir. People,
you're still a little grainy, D. But
here's all I'll say about DC. All right. Well, listen, you take it. You take us home. Take us back to the team store. I'll sign off and sign back on.
All right, D. All right, guys. I'll try to take a few questions here at the end and make up for the time that I wasn't here. Did Mike Ryan enter the transfer portal? No, man. Just holiday stuff. The last couple weeks obviously is always crazy with the end of the year and all that, and he is out of town. So we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming in the next couple weeks here. I'm not actually sure if it's next week or the week after. So let's see. JR Godfather says D-Money and Pete getting so big they can't be contained. Group chat sports, another endeavor. No, man, this is another thing that we're excited to get going and talk to fans across the country. It gives us a good perspective for the Canes as well, and we have a good idea of kind of what's happening around the ACC and around the country because of this. So it's cool. Was he going to talk about the DC? Look, and I know we're getting a lot of DC questions here, but the fact of the matter is a lot of these coordinator hires we see names that are out there, and D's mentioned this the last couple of days, but you see these names out there and you can only take so much of it seriously, right? Mario's very, very tight-lipped on these coordinator searches for the most part. We've heard certain names over the past that were mentioned big time, and they weren't real names in the discussion. There's certain people here who they're under certain timetables, right? You have a Clint Hurt who I think is a legitimate option. I've mentioned this a couple times, but he was a legit candidate a couple years ago when Kevin Steele ended up being hired. So he's coaching with the Eagles now, one of the best teams in the league. They're in the middle of now about to go on a playoff run here. So if he's a legitimate candidate, is he leaving that team this year that he's working with one of the best units in the country? Is he leaving them right now? If you're Miami, are you hiring him as DC and then it's announced, but he says he's going to finish the season out? Maybe that's something, but you're also not going to just wait around for him, right? And not make that decision beforehand. So that's just that situation. But we'll see, man. The Santucci thing, obviously he's an up and coming coach and did some solid things, but the numbers are a bit concerning to a certain degree. I would love to see someone in that path of maybe a former head coach or someone who's really going to just run that side of the ball completely himself and build the whole operation over there. I don't know what's going on. I think it's wearing this light shirt, so the lighting is a bit weird behind me, but apologize for that. Let me see if there's any questions here. UA game. Yeah, I don't know if you just joined us, Canes Cat T305, but D did a whole breakdown on that, earlier in the show. So Rick Flair saying, what QB do you prefer that's available? I don't know that out of the guys that are there right now, that are available right now, Gronowski, but it doesn't look like Miami right now has pursued that heavily. I still think there may be some stuff that happens in terms of guys who haven't officially entered the portal yet, or maybe are planning to do something after the playoff the next few days here. We'll see. All right, let me tell you guys about Miami Hurricane Team Store. Of course, it was a little chilly this morning. Then, of course, as happens in Miami at this time of year, you get the seasons throughout the entire day. So it's a little warmer right now, but should be getting a cold front here. Miami Hurricane Team Store across from campus. You can check out MiamiHTS.com as well, but they've got it all. Harry Rothwell, of course, the legend. You guys all know him for years down here, and he runs the show over there at Miami Hurricane Team Store. They've got it all. Baseball season coming up here in the next couple months. So, we'll have you covered on that end as well on Canes Insight. But MiamiHTS.com, go check them out. Appreciate everyone who was on here with us today, man. We got great numbers. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep you guys updated here. If you're just joining us now, you can go back to the beginning of the show when D-Money dropped, his latest on the Branch brothers and a really in-depth report on SJ Alofaituli's performance at the Under Armour game yesterday, and then some of the other guys Miami's recruiting for next recruiting class. So signing off, guys. Appreciate the support as always. Go Canes.